Hi, I'm Umamai, and I'm here to help you live freely as your true self. How do you feel about emotions? What's your response when you see someone experiencing a lot of emotions? Are there emotions that you have preferences towards, ones you do or don't like to see? I've come to see emotions as communication devices, a conversation with universal intelligence, a feedback and feed through of the human experience to consciousness experiencing itself. Now, that might resonate or seem a bit like, what are you talking about? So I want to get into today an experience I had yesterday where, to those around me, I was visibly emotional, and what people may respond to as a state of distress. However, the experience that I was having within was really quite different. If we just take it back, maybe 5 years ago, I used to really fear my emotions. I used to fear the capacity they had to hold me, particularly ones that I potentially deemed as negative. I feared sadness, I feared tears, I feared anything that could potentially take hold of me and take me down into a state that I didn't know how to get out of. And the journey that I've been on with not fearing them, but moving through them, allowing them to be something that come and go, just as quickly as joy can come and fill me up, it can leave. And equally with maybe heavier emotions such as sorrow. And actually, I'd just like to add that those things like sorrow maybe seem heavy because of the response to them, because maybe they get a bad rap. Maybe tears, I think tears are really misunderstood. I want to campaign for love your tears. Because actually, tears for God are the most profound thing you will ever experience. They're higher than any form of meditation. When you are in an experience in a manageable knowing of the presence of God, there is one thing that happens to me every single time, is that I will be reduced to a capacity where I cannot speak, and I am potentially bawling and shaking. And it's one of the most powerful things, or the most powerful thing I've ever come to experience. And yet, when I first started to have these experiences, because of my idea of sadness and because of a bit of a resistance towards it and where it could take me, it's almost like blocking myself from having these experiences. But now that I've come to see the power of the connection and what's on the other side of it, I don't resist anymore. In fact, I know and I trust it, and I allow myself to be fully in it, or as I'm sure there's more to go, but as in fully in it as I can be in that moment. So I go very much within. And whilst when they used to happen, the experience around me did matter to me because I was aware that I experience it so much in my body and through release that it's visible to those around me. And now I don't go mentally there, I go within, but the response to it externally is still happening. So the other day I went to this retreat about loving your rage. I've just posted a video on it. and it really cleared out some space. And I love to go and be in spaces where people are in worship, whilst I don't define myself as amongst any religion. There's nothing for me like being around others who are celebrating, worshipping, crying out to something that's greater than them. That energy, that field is just pure magic for me. So I go to church on a weekly basis, if not more. And there was Holy Communion, and whatever's happening in church, I like to go into my internal own conversation with God, and this form that God was taking this week was of Jesus Christ. And so I have the bread and body in my hands, and I'm go within and say my own prayers, my own offerings, and my request to receive Christ into my body. There's a primary school hymn that I always used to love, and it goes, "This is my body poured out for you, take it and eat it." And so I had this response from Christ as to receive him. And as I did, I was brought onto my knees, and there aren't words for the experience, but I'll put some in just because otherwise what's the point in sharing the story? Or maybe you can feel it. I started to feel Christ enter the places that I had been protecting against, that I had cleared away through this release and love towards rage. So like getting in contact with that part of me, letting that be seen, letting it go, had opened up this new space that I wasn't really used to receiving in. It felt quite raw and quite vulnerable, like a really, really soft part of my heart. And as this is happening, and as I'm in prayer, and all I know how to do is go onto my knees and go into prayer, and I'm shaking, and this is happening. Tears, release, it's audible, it's visible, and I am just allowing God to enter spaces that I'm not used to feeling God in. I am just in the presence of Christ, and I'm in this completely enraptured moment, completely enfolded and present in the experience. And there are others around me, right? There are other people around me who are maybe not in this state bearing witness to this. So it maybe looks like I'm having a breakdown, but like, how would you feel if you were in the presence of God? Like, what response is there? Like, what like, it's so humbling, it's so moving, it's so completely consuming. It's everything your heart has ever wanted. It's like, oh, like, maybe liken it to, let's say you're like maybe a child, or maybe even an adult, and you're getting to, when a child gets to like meet their idol, their favorite pop star or celebrity for the first time, and all they know how to do is really cry. Or you see those videos which have a little bit of a weakness to, like children receiving puppies, a puppy that they always wanted, and their response is just to break down in tears. They know you don't know what else to do. There's no words, there's no nothing. You're just pure meltdown into, like it's everything I ever knew and didn't know I needed, and it's right here, and it's on the outside it could look like you're falling apart. Well, I guess in some ways you are. The part of you that's not of God, that part of you that's not your true self, is falling away, is breaking open. Your heart is widening and expanding, and it's going into those places that maybe feels uncomfortable because you're not used to feeling it in, but it's so incredible. And I could feel this kind of, and I was moved from prayer into sort of holding my heart and massaging it and being really gentle with myself, feeling God's presence so incredibly within and all around me. And in this process, I'd felt hands on me, and I just thought that they were my mum's hands. I wasn't fully aware, and she's seen this happen enough time in church that I thought, it's okay. She knows I'll be okay. And at the end of Mass, the lady in front of me turned to me and she said, "Is there anything I can pray for you for?" And I was like, "No, I'm all great, thanks today. Yeah, thank you very much for asking. It's very kind of you, but I think I'm good. Do you need any to be prayed for anything?" And she was like, "Oh, because you kind of, you broke down earlier." And I'd completely sort of forgotten about this at this point. I'd sort of got caught up in the rest of Mass. And I could see these tears in her eyes, like she had been really concerned for me. And I explained to her, I was like, "Oh no, I just, cleared away some space yesterday in my heart, like in this rage workshop, and I felt like Christ was entering into those places that, maybe a little uncomfortable, a little bit raw, but it was just this beautiful experience." And she's just, sort of tears welling up in her eyes, and I could see how concerned she'd been for me. It was lovely, we could connect over it. And after Mass, when I was talking to my mum about it, and I was asking her kind of her experience of it, and she said that, she'd felt quite uncomfortable, and that her and this other lady had sort of had their hands on me and praying for me. And I didn't realize that this other lady had kind of put her hands on me in this moment too. And my mum asked me if I'm in the moments I'm thinking about, if I'm aware of other people. And I was sort of explaining that, I'm obviously feel the hands on me, but for me, that feels beautiful. That feels like we're all connecting in together. Maybe not aware of, my awareness is elsewhere, right? And I'm not thinking, so my mind can't go to anywhere about like getting into other people's stories or narratives. But it left me thinking, having a realization, not sure which one, about how tears just get a bad rap, one of the two. How here I am having this beautiful experience of God, but what it looks like on the outside is something that is, people are concerned for me because sadness has got negative connotations about it. People will worry, like, are you safe? Are you okay? And it's wonderful that we have that compassion and care for one another. But I think I just want to open up this conversation about the joy of being in the presence of universal intelligence, of God, of the divine, of whatever you call it, of whatever you experience and relate to it as. There is a high likelihood that it's going to move you to tears. there is a high likelihood that you're going to be like, whoa. And that you are going to respond in ways that maybe you're like, oh, you have to get comfortable with. And I think for a way for me that I've got comfortable with it is through allowing freedom of my self-expression, right? So coming online, doing these videos, talking, giving myself free rein to share all parts of myself without judgment. Do a lot of conscious movement, embodying that connection, allowing myself to be flowed through, chanting, singing out to God, or the chanting the names of divinity, or even just singing, allowing expression to be moved through you. But or art, there's just so many different ways. I won't go into listing all of them, but to have some sort of creative outlet that allows self-expression without judgment, I think is a really great way in to allowing that connection with a power greater than you to be expressed in whatever way it needs to be expressed within your system and with you as a human. There is so much beyond what we're aware of to the experience of being alive. And the only way to open up to that experience is to not cage yourself in any way or create boundaries or restrictions as to what you can and can't express. You have to allow yourself to be moved and have to build confidence and safety within yourself to do that. Let that be free from judgment. That's so important. Just like how I feel anger and sadness are so closely linked together. I think also sadness and joy are also so closely linked together. Maybe it's that sadness is that longing for something that brings us joy. Or sadness at remembering we'd been without that connection. At the end of the day, it's just water coming out of your face. Take a step back from it all. It's just like a river flowing out of you, washing away everything that you do not need. And I hope some of this has been helpful, enlightening in some way. Experiences with God are so personal that it's not something you always really, there's not something you really feel the need to share. But I think that when you start to have experiences that you're not used to, it can be a little bit disconcerting. And I think it's important to know that it's okay, you're safe in it. I want to say it's normal, but maybe it's not normal yet, but maybe it will be normal. And I would love to hear if anyone's having any of these similar types of experiences and want support with them. Please do reach out. I'm even just so curious to hear about all the ways that these kind of experiences can manifest for people and what they mean to you and how they help you on your journey to your true self. It's been so wonderful to share with you today. I hope your hearts feel as full as mine. And I send you so much love. Namaste.